Minotaur, one of the most famous creatures in Greek mythology. I'll give you all its history, from its origins, myth, symbolism, and how it influenced later stories. The Minotaur full history. Origin of the myth. The Minotaur comes from ancient Greek mythology, specifically from the island of Crete. His story begins with King Minos, the ruler of Crete, and the gods of Olympus, especially Poseidon, the god of the sea. King Minos once prayed to Poseidon to send him a snow-white bull as a sign that he was meant to be king. Poseidon sent the bull from the sea, strong, majestic, and sacred. But Minos, instead of sacrificing the bull back to Poseidon as he promised, kept it for himself because it was beautiful. This angered Poseidon, who decided to punish Minos. 2. Birth of the Minotaur. As punishment, Poseidon made Queen Pasiphae, Minos' wife, fall in love with the bull. Pasiphae's unnatural desire led her to ask the inventor Daedalus to build a hollow wooden cow so she could hide inside it and be with the bull. From that union, she gave birth to a monstrous child, half man, half bull, the Minotaur. His name means the bull of Minos, from Greek Minos Tauros. The Minotaur had the body of a man, but the head and tail of a bull. He was strong, fierce, and uncontrollable, feeding on human flesh. The labyrinth king Minos was horrified by this creature, yet he didn't want to kill it since it was part divine. So he ordered Daedalus to build an enormous maze, the labyrinth, underneath his palace at Knossos. This maze was so complex that no one could ever escape it. There, the Minotaur was locked away, but he needed to be fed, and this led to one of the most famous parts of the myth. 4. The Athenian sacrifice. Some years later, Athens killed Androgeus, Minos' son. In revenge, Minos attacked Athens and forced them to pay a cruel tribute. Every 9 years, some stories say every year, Athens had to send 7 boys and 7 girls to Crete. These youths were thrown into the labyrinth, where the Minotaur would devour them. Now, number 5. Theseus and the Minotaur. The story's hero is Theseus, Prince of Athens. When the time came for the 3rd sacrifice, Theseus volunteered to go, determined to kill the beast and end the terror. In Crete, he met Ariadne, daughter of King Minos. Ariadne fell in love with Theseus and decided to help him. She gave him a ball of thread, the clue, so he could mark his path inside the labyrinth and find his way out again. Theseus entered the labyrinth, followed the winding tunnels, and eventually found the Minotaur. After a fierce battle, he killed it, using his sword or bare hands depending on the version. Then, using Ariadne's thread, he escaped safely. Now, number 6, symbolism of the Minotaur. The Minotaur is not just a monster, he represents several ideas. The beast within humans, a symbol of wild desire and uncontrollable instincts. Punishment of pride and disobedience. King Minos' refusal to honor Poseidon led to chaos. The struggle between reason, Theseus, and chaos, the labyrinth and the Minotaur. Number 7, archaeological links. In Crete, the palace of Knossos has inspired many scholars to believe that the myth was based on real Minoan culture. The bull was sacred to the Minoans. Ancient art shows bull leaping, a ritual sport. The palace itself was complex like a labyrinth. So the myth may be a symbolic memory of the ancient Minoan civilization around 1400 BCE. 8. Later influence. The Minotaur appears throughout history and modern culture. Literature. Dante's Inferno, Jorge Luis Borges' The House of Asterion, Mary Renault's The King Must Die. Art. Pablo Picasso painted several Minotaur scenes. Games and movies. The Minotaur appears in Percy Jackson, God of War, Clash of the Titans, Narnia, and many fantasy games. He remains a symbol of the mystery, darkness, and duality of human nature. Alright, here's the long story of Theseus, one of the greatest heroes in Greek mythology. Birth and early life. Theseus was born in Troezen, a small city in Greece. His mother was Aethra, daughter of King Pythias, and his father was Aegeus, the king of Athens, though in some stories, Poseidon, the god of the sea, also had a role in his birth. Before Aegeus left Troezen, he hid his sword and sandals under a large rock and told Aethra, open quote, "When our son is strong enough to lift this rock, send him to me in Athens." Close quote. Theseus grew up brave and strong. When he became a young man, his mother told him about his father and the hidden sword. He lifted the rock easily, took the sword and sandals, and began his journey to Athens on foot. choosing the dangerous land route instead of the safe sea path. The road to Athens. The road to Athens was filled with dangerous bandits and monsters, but Theseus fought them all, just like Hercules did in his labors. He killed Periphetes, the club-bearer, and took his club. He defeated Sinis, who killed travelers by bending pine trees and flinging them apart. He slew Sciron, who forced travelers to wash his feet and then kicked them into the sea to be eaten by a giant turtle. He killed Procrustes, who had an iron bed and made people fit it by either stretching or cutting them. By the time he reached Athens, Theseus was already a hero. Arrival in Athens. When Theseus arrived, King Aegeus didn't recognize him. The king's wife, the sorceress Medea, realized who he was and feared he would take the throne. She tried to poison him, but just as Aegeus was about to hand Theseus a cup of poison, he saw the sword, the one he had hidden under the rock. He recognized his son and embraced him. Medea fled from Athens. The Minotaur and the labyrinth Athens was then under a terrible curse. Every 9 years, the city had to send 7 young men and 7 young women to Crete as a tribute to King Minos. They were thrown into a labyrinth, a vast maze built by Daedalus, where a monster called the Minotaur lived, half man, half bull. Theseus volunteered to go, promising his father he would kill the Minotaur and end the curse. Aegeus told him to change his ship's black sails to white if he returned alive. Ariadne and the thread. When Theseus arrived in Crete, Ariadne, the daughter of King Minos, fell in love with him. She gave him a ball of thread, telling him, open quote, tie this at the entrance, unwind it as you go, and follow it back after you slay the beast, close quote. Theseus entered the dark labyrinth, following Ariadne's plan. Deep inside, he met the Minotaur. After a fierce battle, he killed it with his sword, then followed the thread back out, saving all the other Athenian youths. He fled Crete with Ariadne, sailing toward Athens, Ariadne's fate. On the way home, they stopped on the island of Naxos. There, the god Dionysus appeared and told Theseus that Ariadne was destined to be his, Dionysus' wife. Theseus, heartbroken, left her sleeping on the island and sailed away. The black sails. As Theseus neared Athens, he forgot to change the ship's sails from black to white. When his father Aegeus saw the black sails from a distance, he thought his son had died. In grief, he threw himself into the sea, which was then named the Aegean Sea in his memory. Theseus returned home a hero, but also a man marked by tragedy. King Theseus of Athens. Theseus became king of Athens. He united the people of Attica into one kingdom and established democratic principles, earning him great respect. He took part in many adventures. He helped Heracles in several quests. He fought the Amazons and even married their queen, Antiope. He joined the Argonauts in the quest for the Golden Fleece. He helped his friend Pirithous fight the centaurs. But as he grew older, his fortunes changed. His people turned against him, and he was forced into exile on the island of Scyros, where he was eventually killed by the king. Legacy. Theseus became a symbol of bravery, intelligence, and justice. Athenians worshipped him as a great founder and hero, the perfect example of a man who used both strength and wisdom to overcome monsters, unite his people, and bring peace to his land.